What are you doing here? Get out of here. You don't belong here. Those were the words of a high ranking member from church. Hello, my name is Edgar Diaz Hernandez, and today I will be discussing the topic of racism. Racism has been in our history books way back. It goes way back. And it is current and live today in 2023. According to Webster's dictionary, racism is prejudice, discrimination by an individual, community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority. The reason I chose to speak on racism today, it is because of my personal experience. I dealt with racism. I endured racism at church and at work. According to my research I conducted from multiple sources, I will share when racism started, the status of racism, and the solution to racism. Before I get started, I would like to share a quote from Ronald Reagan. And he said this: "In this present crisis, government is not the solution. Government is the problem." According to my research, the article by NPR.org, The Ugly Fascinating History of the Word Racism. Racism started in the early 1800s when white men went on a business trip to New York. While there, they encountered Native Americans and they became friends with them, but then later on they parted ways. They did not like the ideas that the Native Americans brought. In doing so, they started disagreeing with the Native Americans. They started to beat them to make the American way the right way. The Native Americans had no choice but to surrender to the white man. In doing so, they lost their culture. They lost their true identity. They started losing their native tongues. If they were caught going back to their roots, going back to their culture, the Americans were there to beat them up, to get to the point across. In transition, it brings me to my second point: the status of racism. According to my research, the article by NPR.org, many have lost their true identity. The Native Americans were forced to learn English. If the Native American were caught practicing their culture, they were just beaten up, or worse. And the status today, if we continue with the racism that was going on in the past, we will truly lose ourselves. We will lose our identity, and that's a shame. Because America is not about just one race. America is built among different races, among different ethnicities. And if we start thinking about just one race, we will lose it all. And that's what makes America great. We come from all parts of the world. which brings me to my third point. In transition, the solution. See, back then, their solution was to beat them up. My solution is this: that no matter where we categorize ourselves, that we need to keep in mind that we are all humans. That when we bleed the same color. That when we breathe the same air. That when we drink water, we drink the same water. With those three alone, they do not discriminate. Whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, it does not matter. Blood, water, and air, it is the same for everyone. In conclusion, today I spoke on the topic of racism. I introduced 3 points: the beginning of racism, the status of racism, and the solution to racism. I will end my speech with this: a new command I give you, love one another as I love you. So you must love one another. John 13:34. Thank you.